We decided to take a spontaneous trip to Europe, and we're going to talk about 8 different points that we think are really important if you're planning a trip to Europe, whether it's spontaneous or whether you have months to plan. Tip number 1, why we decided to take backpacks over traditional luggage.
Mainly for being hands-free. As you're traveling to the airport, maybe you're connecting flight, maybe you need to go through customs, having your hands free to handle children in strollers, super beneficial. We're able to pull our boarding passes out, pull our passports out, present those, without having to worry about having to carry on, fall over, or rolling away. Also, Europe has a lot of cobblestone streets. Dragging luggage down cobblestone streets
Or up.
is very, very difficult. Not only that, it's loud, shakes your hands. It's just not my preferred method of travel. Now, one of the points that I think is most important is it's a carry-on. So I'm not having to check the bag, which, depending on how you book your airline tickets, can cost you money or can be included in your flight. But it is a time saver to just get off the plane, put your backpack on, and roll out. Also, gate check your stroller if you're traveling with kids so that they know that they're going to bring the stroller back up to the gangway instead of to the carousel, even on your connecting flights. So when you get off, we had a 6-hour layover in Canada. We were able to get our stroller back, put the girls in the stroller. Then we hopped on our next plane. The stroller goes down. I gate check it right at the door. When I get back off my plane in Paris, the stroller was right there. Super easy, and it actually worked out very well for us.
Yeah. So tip number 2 is the type of backpack that you're using. It's very important, and so you want to put some consideration into this. And we did with ours. We bought 2 types, and one of them was the top loader hiking backpack, the traditional one that you see in Europe, and the second one was the suitcase style backpack. And we quickly discovered with the top loader that there's no way to organize it. And once you get it all loaded up, if you need something at the bottom of that backpack, you're unloading the entire thing. So for me, with the 2 girls, I was just like, I want to use the suitcase style. It's just like a suitcase. So no brainer for me. And we took the other one back.
Well, the top loader, you have to check because it does not meet the measurement requirements for a carry-on. So
Right.
that kind of defeated our purpose on us wanting to carry on everything. But the suitcase backpack was absolutely amazing. We'll put a link in the description to the backpacks that we used. And tip number 3, we use a combination of our backpack, but also a front sling due to pickpocket safety. You don't want to be walking around Europe or a place that you haven't been. You might have your wallet traditionally in your back pocket. You're in very large crowds. It can happen. So we opted for was the Osprey Daypack sling in the front. It allows us to really carry our power bank, our passports, our camera gear, our boarding passes, our wallet,
I
even
even
a
put
water
my
bottle.
water bottle in mine. So that was super essential because not only were we still hands-free, it was strapped to our chest, and so we didn't have anything that somebody could walk by and yank and take with them. That made us feel a lot safer because, again, we were hands-free all the way.
Yeah, and it was very easy to just unzip, present passport, boarding passes as you're going through the airport. And anything else you need. We needed to grab a bite to eat, waiting for a taxi.
Right there.
Yep, we're pulling our wallet out. It was just, we found it to be super easy. I'm usually a fanny pack guy, so I was already all about it. But the front sling,
Yeah, I was definitely, we actually bought the same one. So we both wore the same front sling, and then we had our same backpacks, which was a 44 liter. So that was tip number 3, and I definitely recommend it. Don't carry a purse, don't stick stuff in your back pocket, be hands-free.
we'll put a link in the description down below of the slings that we used as well. Tip number 4, planning and early ticket purchases. Whether you're taking a spontaneous trip or you've been planning your trip for 6 months to a year, Always check to see how far out you can buy your tickets for the major attractions that you want to go to, because they do tend to sell out very quickly. Transportation, how are you getting around? How are you getting from the airport to your accommodation, or how are you getting around in the city that you are traveling to? We found it best for us in our situation to utilize the hop-on, hop-off buses in a lot of the major cities like Paris, Barcelona, Rome, where you can pay a fee, hop on a bus that takes you to all the major sites that you want to go see anyways, but you're not tied down to a time constraint on a specific guided tour. You can hop off, check out the attraction you want to go see, and then say, oh, I'm gonna go get some lunch. You can wander around the off the beaten path parts of the city, which you tend to find the best places to eat anyways.
Not only that, but for us, since we planned our trip within 4 days, we were on the flight to Europe. And so we did miss out on some of those places that we wanted to see. For instance, we wanted to do the Colosseum underneath.
Yes.
Those tickets were sold out.
Also,
we did
Colosseum
still
up top was sold out.
But we did still go to the Colosseum. We just didn't get those specific tours.
Yeah.
But so we made the most of it, and you know, if you're planning a spontaneous trip like that, just keep that in mind, that you might not be able to get access to those certain specific tours. But with the hop on, hop off bus, we really enjoyed it because we still got to see all of the main things that we wanted to see, and walk around the city and really enjoy ourselves. So definitely plan in advance if you can, or if you're like us and you're just going on a whim, then, you know, make sure that you are okay with missing out on some of those extravagant
experiences.
Yeah.
But, you know, even if you are going on a whim, there are certain things that you must have, such as a power adapter. How are you charging your power devices in Europe? They have a different outlet system than we do here in the States. What I chose was the Pika. I bought it on Amazon. I think it was $22. It has 3 USB-C ports and 2 regular USB-C, plus a front plug-in port that allows us to charge our computers, our phones, our cameras all in one place. Be sure to bring a long charging cable for both of your phones. If you need white noise like my wife here to sleep, definitely having a cord stretched across the top of your headboard to her side of the bed, because most of the times the outlet is in a very odd spot in the room, so you have your outlet adapter way over to the right, but you need to go all the way to the left.
Yeah.
So definitely a long cord as well. Another thing, you're going to be taking long flights, definitely a pair of noise canceling headphones. I cannot stress that enough. It makes the flight so much more bearable. We have Bose Quiet Comfort, and they worked amazing. They're a lot less priced than most of the noise canceling headphones out there that you can get. We did buy our daughters some little cheapy pairs at Target. They were $14 a piece.
Yeah, they hooked into
Yes,
much
because
everything.
the airline will give you earphones. However, they're the small earbuds and they don't fit in infants' ears. But that worked out so well. They watched their favorite movie right now, which is Wild Robot, on the plane consistently. They did extremely well. We always get compliments on them. They are very well traveled over being 2 and 4 right now. They've been on more planes than I can count. But definitely a pair of noise canceling headphones, because there is a lot of airplane noise, and if you want to take an international flight and you want to get some shut-eye, you know, it's best to do so when it's a little bit more quiet.
Definitely also consider the weather. What type of clothes you're going to bring, whether you're going to need an umbrella, those types of things.
Tip number 5, apps. There is an app for everything in Europe. Taxis, tour guides, translation. The railroad has quite a few different apps.
A lot of the tours that you have their own little apps, just so that you can listen if you're doing a self-guided tour like we did in Sagrada Familia.
Yep, you download the Attractions app on your phone. You're able to do a guided tour specifically to you without having to have a tour guide. You have the freedom to go to whatever station you want to see, press the number, and it'll tell you, you know, about the attraction you're at. Taxis, taxi apps are different in France, in Switzerland, in Barcelona, or in Spain, and Italy. In Paris, it was a G7 app. We got to Switzerland, we didn't take a taxi there. I know that they use FreeNow. Italy was It Taxi is what we use. They do have FreeNow, but It Taxi was recommended more in Italy. When we got to Barcelona, I did use FreeNow. All of the apps are very easy to use.
I did put him in charge of all of the apps because there are so many, and he actually put a folder on his iPhone and put all of his apps in that folder for Europe. So he was the app guy. I would handle the gids, and he would get us to where we were going next with whatever app we needed at the moment. I definitely recommend getting those apps before you go, because there was one situation where we were trying to get into the Louvre, and our tickets, we had the email for the tickets, but you had to download a specific app to get the ticket, and we had to go out to the street. We were like doing this to try and get the signal just to download that app. So
we bought the Louvre tickets on Viator, and when they send you your voucher in small print, you have to download the Global Tickets app. You have to put in your itinerary number or your booking number, and you also have to look at what type of booking number that is to make sure that you can get your tickets. It is kind of a headache, but definitely plan that ahead of time.
Get your apps, have it all in a specific folder so it's easy for you to access when you're making your way around the cities.
And I'll put a list of apps in the description below as well on what we use to get around. We will be doing a specific Eurail tutorial video too. I haven't seen a lot of very in-depth ones online. That was the only part that I was nervous for on this trip, because it seemed very daunting. As an American, we do not have a train system pretty much at all. So it was very new to me to plan that, to learn that there is a global pass. There's also a country pass, how many days you can travel, your destinations, whether you need seat reservations or not. So there's an app for that. However, the app doesn't work that well. You're going to want to do that on your desktop, but that tutorial video will be coming out soon.
So I think this is a perfect time for us to transition into tip number 6. Tip number 6 is the different tour guide apps, like Viator. There's Get Your Guide. There's a whole bunch. And Viator was pretty expensive. They were easy. And we did book a couple of them with Viator, but it started to get pretty cumbersome in terms of cost.
Yep.
And so we started researching as we were going through this whole journey and planning out our days in each of the cities that we were going to be in. We found Get Your Guide. And then we also discovered that a lot of places that we wanted to see didn't necessarily need a ticket where you had to pay any kind of money to get in. For instance, Notre Dame, you don't need to pay to get in. You can go through the self-guided tour and go through the queue and walk through the line and get into the Notre Dame without paying any money. So I definitely recommend researching if you're on a tight budget like we were trying to skin the cat wherever we could. Definitely look into Get Your Guide versus Viator, and look into the specific place that you want to go to see if you need to pay to get entry in the first place. And sometimes it's just waiting in a line that might be a little bit longer.
Tip number 7, dress code. Some of the attractions that you go to, like churches and basilicas, are going to have a dress code for ladies, meaning you have to have your shoulders covered up and at least
no tank tops
and at least knee length bottoms. We went to Notre Dame. We got off the big bus there. We didn't need a ticket because we knew that it was free. We were going to go wait in line. The line was actually moving pretty quick. However, right as we got into the line,
I got flagged.
Nicole gets flagged. We go over to the person helping us out. We asked why. It was because she didn't have the covering.
I was wearing a tank top and shorts. And so he said, you need something below the knee and you need to cover your shoulders. And I didn't have anything. We didn't have time to go back to the room. By the time we would have traveled back to the room and then gotten back, it would have been too late. So we opted to go and see your family at the cemetery.
Yep, so we walked from Notre Dame to Montparnasse, and then we went to the Montparnasse Tower, which was cheap. We didn't buy tickets for that until we got there at the door. I want to say it was 12 euros a piece. It was a very cool spot to go to.
And panoramic views of the entire city. It was beautiful. I knew for the Vatican because I had been so long ago, a whole lifetime ago, but it was so long ago, I just didn't even think about it with Notre Dame. And then for the 16th chapel, I made sure I was wearing a long dress, and it was a tank top long dress, but I brought a cover. So once we were entering the 16th chapel, I was able to put that on, and we sat in there for like 20 minutes. All right, so let's talk about tip number 8.
Research your neighborhood of the place that you're going to stay at.
Oh boy.
Whether it be an Airbnb or a hotel, please do not just read the reviews on the room or the hotel itself. We flew from Rome to Barcelona. We flagged our taxi down using the FreeNow app. We get to the spot where our hotel is, and our taxi driver stops before the alley to our hotel.
He wouldn't drive down the street.
He says, "This is as far as I go. Your alley is down there. Do you happen to know the area very well or been here?" I said, "No, we have not." He says, "Be very careful. I don't drive down this alley anymore because they broke my windows and stole my phones out of my car." Knowing that, an immediate red flag went up. We're walking down the alley. It took us about 30 seconds to realize we're not staying here. I called the hotel up. I said, "We're canceling. We're just not going to stay here." Luckily, our taxi was having coffee where he dropped us off. We went back. I said, "Let's go."
We ran back.
Well, and that goes to taxis are a very good source of information. They drive the city all day long. They're taking tourists to different hotels all day long. They're going to know the bad parts of town. So just a quick tip, ask them, how is this part of town? Just so if you can be cautious, but that was a costly mistake for us. I want to say we lost about $400 to $500 on that apart hotel that we had to go back to the taxi and sit in the taxi as the meter's running to book another hotel, which was just a mile up the road, which was the more upscale district of Barcelona. I'm glad that we chose to lose that money and book another hotel, because I'm afraid that if we didn't do that, maybe our vision of Barcelona was sullied, because we had an amazing time in Barcelona after we changed locations.
I don't know, maybe we wouldn't even be sitting here.
It was pretty bad. We were able to book a room which was about 1,000 feet from a bus stop. So on our hop-on, hop-off buses we're very fond of, it was super easy to get around the entire city.
Yeah.
So please research the neighborhood specific of where you're staying. You can drop a pin on Google Maps and go to a Reddit forum and see if anybody is talking about that specific neighborhood, because that was a very costly mistake that had happened to us.
And I do also recommend when you find that neighborhood that works best for you, especially with young kids, also look at bus stops that are nearby. And if you're taking trains, see how far the train station is, because in several situations we walked, because we're trying to skin the cat, we walked to our train station from our apartment and would hop on the next train to get to the next location, so we didn't have to pay for a taxi, because it adds up after a while. And especially since we had to get specific taxis that allowed the girls to travel without a car seat, and they are special licensed. So like the G6,
the G7 in Paris, and It Taxi and FreeNow, taxi drivers in Europe will allow you to bring your infant with you, a 2-year-old, as a lap child without a child restraint. Uber and that is not allowed.
Yeah, so we did have to pay a little bit more on those different taxis. And so when we could, we walked it, whether it be 35 minutes of a walk or 40 minutes of a walk.
So we
did it.
we walked in Barcelona through a neighborhood that was more upscale. So that goes back to researching. I don't know if I would have want to walk from that first initial apartment to the train station, because we majoritively walked through the upscale area of Barcelona to Barcelona Sants to take our train back up to Paris. Very crucial. research your neighborhood, research what's around it, and the amenities that go along with it.
All right, so I hope some of our tips help you on your next trip to Europe. And
we're going to be putting out 2 new videos coming up. One specifically on Eurail, how to use that, how to get your global pass, how to present that at the train station.
That's a whole different beast.
And also the train station reservations on certain trains that you're going to have to take. Super important because you might be able to get on your train, but you might not be able to get your connecting train because you didn't reserve your seat. Also, we are going to throw in a video of our entire itinerary on what we did for 10 plus days, step by step, where we stayed, what trains we took, what flights we took to get all around 4 countries in that limited amount of time. Well, it's 5:30 a.m. and we're getting ready to head down to the shuttle to the airport for our trip back home. Ready to go home?
I don't want to do the plane trip. I wish I could just snap the fingers, but yeah, I am. It was a good trip, and now I'm ready to get back to the grind.
Yep, we'll be back in maybe Christmas time.